What if disaster struck tonight? Would you honestly be ready? Think carefully, because most people aren't, and FEMA knows it. That's the scary part. We're not talking about what-ifs anymore. Natural disasters, power grid failures, even pandemics, they're not possibilities, they're guarantees. The only unknown is when they'll hit. And when they do, you don't want to be the one standing in an empty store aisle while your neighbors are already in survival mode. In this video, I'm going to break down the 10 critical emergency items FEMA says every household must have. But here's the twist. Most families don't even have half of them, and I'm not stopping there. I'll also reveal a few life-saving tools FEMA leaves off their list, gear that could mean the difference between making it through a disaster or being caught completely unprepared. This isn't just theory. I've spent over a decade studying survival strategies, testing gear in real-world conditions, and digging deep into FEMA's official plans. I've also learned from real disasters what people actually used, what they wished they had, and the mistakes that cost them dearly. So stick with me, because I'm not here to rattle off the obvious. In fact, item number 9 is the most ignored, yet it might just be the most important thing you can own. You'll want to hear that one. And before we dive in, let me ask you, have you noticed the rising shortages and price spikes on bottled water, masks, or even medical kits lately? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because helping each other stay one step ahead could make all the difference. All right, let's get started. Item number 1. Water, the ultimate lifeline. This isn't up for debate. Without water, you're finished. FEMA ranks it number 1 for a reason. You can only last a few days without it. Their bare minimum guideline: 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. But let's be real, that's just scraping by. Got a family of 5? You're looking at 15 gallons, and that doesn't just cover drinking. That water is for cooking, washing, brushing your teeth, even basic sanitation. The good news, you don't need to spend a fortune to stockpile water. The smartest approach is to... Now, here's the good news, you don't need to be rich to stockpile water. The cheapest method: grab those gallon jugs from your local grocery store. They usually run about $1 each, and you can build your supply little by little. Toss 1 or 2 extra jugs into your cart each time you shop, and before you realize it, you'll have a serious emergency stash tucked away. If space is an issue, look into stackable water storage cubes. These 5-minute or 7-gallon containers are sturdy, reusable, and they come with built-in spouts that make pouring easy. Perfect if you're living in an apartment or somewhere with limited storage. Just remember, location matters. Store your water in a cool, dark place. Sunlight and heat can break down the plastic and even ruin the quality of your water. Avoid hot garages or sheds during summer. Here's a survival pro tip: rotate your water supply regularly. Yes, even bottled water has a shelf life. Experts recommend replacing it every 6 months to a year. A simple trick is to grab a permanent marker and write the purchase date on each jug or container, so you'll know exactly when it's time to swap it out. But what if disaster strikes before you've stocked up? Don't panic. If you know a storm, blackout, or crisis is coming, fill your bathtub immediately. A single full tub can hold dozens of gallons of water. You can also fill soda bottles, pitchers, or even pots. Just make sure whatever you're using is spotless. In an emergency, the last thing you want is contaminated water. Bottom line, water is non-negotiable. If you don't have it, you're already in trouble. Now let's move to survival essential number 2. Food, your fuel for endurance. When disaster hits, grocery store shelves are stripped bare within hours. Trucks stop running, supply chains freeze, and suddenly even bread and rice are luxuries. FEMA recommends storing at least 3 days' worth of food, 3 meals per person per day. For a family of 5, that's 45 meals minimum. Sounds overwhelming, but trust me, it's easier than you think. Let's start with the classics. Canned goods. They're cheap, they last for years, and they're easy to find. Canned beans, vegetables, soups, tuna. These are the building blocks of a survival pantry. Most canned foods last anywhere from 2 to 5 years if stored properly. Think canned beans, soups, vegetables, tuna, chicken, chili, and even fruit. They're cheap, easy to prepare, and most importantly, they don't need refrigeration. Just make sure you've got one thing people often forget: a manual can opener. Your electric one is useless when the power's out, and you don't want to be staring at a can of food you can't open while your stomach growls. If you want something even more compact and calorie-packed, look into MREs, meals ready to eat. These are the exact meals the military uses in the field. They're lightweight, sealed tight, and often come with everything you need, from utensils to flameless heaters. One MRE can pack anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 calories, making it a powerhouse survival meal. They store easily, last up to 5 years, and require zero prep. For those planning long-term survival, nothing beats freeze-dried meals. You've probably seen those big buckets in outdoor stores or online. They're not cheap, but they give you peace of mind. Each bucket can provide 60 to 100 servings, and if stored in a cool, dry place, can last up to 25 years. That's the ultimate set it and forget it solution, but don't overlook the simple stuff. Granola bars, trail mix and peanut butter are all survival gold. They're calorie-dense, don't need cooking, and can be eaten on the move. And if you've got kids, pack a few comfort foods, crackers, cookies, maybe even a little chocolate. In the middle of chaos, something as small as a cookie can calm nerves and lift spirits. Survival isn't just about filling your stomach, it's about keeping your morale strong. Now here's where many people slip up. Storage. Keep your food in a cool, dry place, away from sunlight and moisture. Rotate your supply every 6 months to a year, and always check expiration dates. And one more thing, don't forget dietary needs. If someone in your household has allergies or medical restrictions, plan accordingly, because when disaster hits, you won't have the luxury of running to the store for gluten-free pasta or almond milk. The takeaway: food isn't just about staying full, it's about staying alive. Stock up now, or you'll regret it later. Now let's move to survival essential number 3, your lifeline to the outside world: an emergency radio. When disaster strikes, information becomes more valuable than gold. Think about it. If the power's down, your phone's dead, and the internet is gone, how will you know what's happening outside your home? Are rescue teams on the way? Is there a second storm coming? Is it even safe to go outside? That's where an emergency radio becomes your secret weapon. FEMA strongly recommends keeping one, and not just any kind, either battery-powered or hand-crank. These radios can run without electricity, and many even pick up NOAA weather alerts, giving you real-time updates straight from emergency services. If you can, get a model that also supports solar charging. Trust me, this isn't just a nice extra, it's a survival essential. In a crisis, Staying informed can literally mean the difference between life and death. An emergency radio keeps you plugged into real-time updates from the National Weather Service, local authorities, and emergency broadcasts. Whether it's a hurricane, a wildfire, or a total grid failure, knowing what's happening and where to go for help is critical. Let me give you a real-world example. When Hurricane Sandy slammed New York City in 2012, entire neighborhoods were swallowed by darkness for days, some for weeks. Shelters and food distribution points were just blocks away, but thousands of people never made it there. No internet, no TV, no radio. They were completely cut off from information that could have saved them. That's how powerful a simple emergency radio can be. So what should you look for? At the very least, your radio should have 3 power options. First, a hand crank. When everything else fails, you can generate power manually. Second, a solar panel. Leave it in the sun during the day, and it charges for free. Third, a USB charging port, perfect for topping it up from a power bank, car, or laptop, if you still have access. Some of the best models also double as survival tools. We're talking built-in flashlights, emergency sirens, and even USB ports to charge your phone. Radios like the Voyager, the Eaton Sidekick, or the budget-friendly Running Snail have all earned solid reputations in the prepping community. And here's something people overlook: placement. Don't toss your radio in the back of a closet. Keep it somewhere easy to grab, like inside your emergency kit or in a central spot in your home. And don't just store it, test it. Make sure it works before you actually need it. Bottom line, when everything else goes dark, an emergency radio is your last connection to the outside world. Never underestimate it. Now let's move to survival essential number 4, a first aid kit, your at-home emergency room. Nobody likes to picture themselves getting injured during a disaster, but let's be brutally honest, when chaos hits, hospitals may be overwhelmed, roads might be blocked, and professional help could be hours or days away. That's why a first aid kit is non-negotiable. And no, I'm not talking about a box of Band-Aids. A real kit is your lifeline when medical care isn't coming. When it comes to handling injuries in a crisis, you can't afford to be underprepared. A real first aid kit has to go far beyond the basics. Sure, you'll need the usual items: bandages, sterile gauze, medical tape, and antiseptic wipes, but that's just your foundation. Add in antibiotic ointments, tweezers, scissors, and non-latex gloves, because when you're on your own, even a small injury can spiral into something dangerous. Pain relievers are non-negotiable too: ibuprofen, acetaminophen, or aspirin. And don't overlook essentials like a thermometer and burn cream. These might sound simple, but in a blackout, storm, or evacuation, the simple stuff is often what saves lives. Now let's talk about the extras, the things that can make or break your survival. Burn gel is a game changer. Think about it. A house fire, spilled boiling water, or even a cooking mishap during a blackout. Burns are far more common than most people realize, and having cooling gel on hand can mean the difference between a painful infection and a quick recovery. Then there's over-the-counter medicine most people never think to stash. Antihistamines like Benadryl for allergic reactions, anti-diarrheal meds for stomach bugs, cold and flu medicine for when viruses hit. These might seem minor, but in a prolonged emergency they're lifesavers. Imagine being sick, dehydrated, or in pain when there's no pharmacy open for miles. And here's something critical that's often overlooked: prescription medications. If someone in your household depends on them, ask your doctor about securing an extra 30-day supply. In a disaster, pharmacies may be shut down or wiped out, and running out of life-sustaining medication is a risk you simply can't take. But perhaps the biggest threat in any survival scenario is infection. Without clean water and proper care, even a small cut can turn deadly. That's why your kit should include antiseptics, sterile tools, and extra gloves. Treat every wound like it matters, because it does. And don't forget, a first aid kit isn't a buy-it-and-forget-it item. Medications expire, and supplies run out. Check your kit regularly, rotate what needs replacing, and make sure it's ready when you need it most. The bottom line: a first aid kit isn't just a box of supplies, it's your personal emergency room when the real one isn't an option. Don't skimp on this. Now let's move to something that might surprise you. Survival essential number 5. A whistle. Yes, a whistle. Sounds almost ridiculous, right? This tiny pocket-sized tool might seem too simple to matter, but in the middle of a disaster, when seconds count and your voice can't carry, a whistle could be the one thing that saves your life. Imagine this. Picture this. You're trapped after an earthquake, a flood, or a tornado. Your phone is dead, your voice is gone from screaming, and no one knows where you are. Rescue teams are close, but you can't make a sound loud enough to reach them. That's when a whistle becomes your lifeline. Its sharp, piercing sound slices through chaos, cutting above the noise of sirens, engines, and debris. It doesn't need batteries, it doesn't need power, it just works. It's the signal that screams, "I'm here, come find me." History has shown us how powerful this tiny tool can be. During Hurricane Katrina, countless survivors were stranded in attics or on rooftops, surrounded by rising floodwaters. First responders were combing neighborhoods by boat and helicopter, but many couldn't make themselves heard over the roar of engines and crashing waters. The ones who had whistles, they stood out. That shrill, unmistakable sound carried for blocks, and it saved lives. But here's the thing, not all whistles are created equal. You want one that's ear-splitting loud, at least 100 decibels or more. Some come with lanyards or clips, so you can wear them on your neck or keychain, keeping them within reach at all times. And don't just buy one, buy several. Keep one in your emergency kit, one in your car, and one on your keyring. Here's a pro tip: practice using it. In a real crisis, stress can make you fumble even the simplest tools. Teach your family members, especially kids, how and when to use it. Because in that terrifying moment when you're trapped and every second counts, a whistle could be the loudest, most important cry for help you'll ever make. And now we come to survival essential number 6, masks, the gear that makes breathing safe. Air is something we take for granted until it turns against us. Imagine stepping outside, and the air itself is your enemy, filled with smoke, ash, or toxic debris. That's why dust masks, or even better, N95 respirators, are must-haves in every emergency kit. FEMA recommends them for good reason. In many disasters, the danger doesn't come from what you can see, it's in what you breathe. Think about it. Wildfires choke the sky with smoke and ash. Earthquakes collapse buildings and release huge clouds of dust and fine particles.